When shopping here at Helmuth Ford, we will do our best to put you in the vehicle that you want, that you love, and that is safe for your family.
Your safety is our focus. That's why we are a full-service repair facility.
We'd love to sell you a vehicle of your choosing. If we don't have it, we'll do our best to find it for you. If you're looking for a vehicle with low miles, a great price, and a friendly atmosphere, come visit us here at Helmuth Ford.
We look forward to seeing you soon.
See our full inventory at helmuthford.com.
Delta Fire and Rescue presents the Delta Haunted House at 109 North Center Street in Delta. Admission is just $10 per person. The Delta Haunted House is open each Friday and Saturday throughout October and on Halloween night from 8 to 10 p.m. Food and drinks will be available for purchase, and now accepting cash and most major credit cards. It's the Delta Fire and Rescue Delta Haunted House, Fridays and Saturdays in October and on Halloween night. The Watch Your Opera House presents the Midwest Country Music Organization New Artist of the Year, Jordan Beam, featuring John Griffiths, this Saturday at 7 p.m. Tickets are just $10. Get them at watchyouroperahouse.org or get them at the door. See one of the Midwest best with Iowa's Jordan Beam this Saturday night, 7 p.m. at the Watch Your Opera House.
As these Iowa skies.
The Albia After Prom Haunted House is open Friday and Saturday nights in October from 8 to 11 p.m. Admission is just $10. Free parking at the Monroe County Fairgrounds in Albia. It's the Albia After Prom Haunted House. Fridays and Saturdays in October from 8 to 11 p.m.
We hope to see you there.
And welcome in. It is time for the Tuesday night tune-up here on Steve Shuttler Media. We are broadcasting live from Bridget's Public House in downtown Oskaloosa on a beautiful fall evening here in Oskaloosa, Iowa. We've got Safe Grafke all alone on screen right now at a table full of RC cars. We're going to get the guys in here shortly, but Safe, what's up? What's going on this evening?
Welcome back, race fans, to TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We are so glad that you can all join us here tonight. We have lots to unpack. We have a heartfelt goodbye from J-Mac, old six-time Brad Sweet, getting it done with the High Limit Series this way, and some more racing results. And then we'll have our interview of the night with the boys that run up at the Lighton Speedway and some other tracks with their RC cars here in just a few minutes. Steve, why don't you tell us who helps us keep TNT going each and every week first?
All righty. All of our sponsors here on Steve Shuttler Media for TNT include Helmuth Ford in Sigourney, who is our headline sponsor. Of course, we thank Bridget's Public House for being our host venue. You can stop in here to Bridget's right now if you want and watch the show live and in person, order some great food and some drinks. We thank Milo's Tree Service for being a sponsor on TNT, as well as Sinclair Napa. We've got James Family Greenhouse and Produce in Sigourney. A big thanks to Christy Tarr at American Family Insurance in Oskaloosa. Sigourney Body Shop is also one of our sponsors, as is Sigourney Motors. We've got Josh at Son-in-Law Services, and all of these people making things happen here on Steve Shuttler Media with the Tuesday Night Tune-Up on a Tuesday night. Again, we are live at Bridget's Public House. Safe, back to you.
Welcome back, race fans. It is that time of night where we will talk about what's going on in the dirt track racing world right now. First off, make sure you come to Bridget's Public House. Earlier, the owner, Madonna, brought around some new things they have here called Scottish eggs. And I tell you what, if you've never had one of those, you need to get down here and try one. It's like the best breakfast you could ever ask for, but on steroids. So I'm going to leave it at that. So you're just going to have to come down here and try one for yourself. You don't know what you're missing until you come down here to Bridget's Public House and have A couple of those have a good burger, have a few adult beverages, or if you're a kid, they do have good child beverages as well.
And I hear they have some French silk pie waiting for us tonight.
Oh, boy. And that peanut butter explosion. They have a lot of good desserts here. So make sure you come down to Bridget's Public House. So we're going to kick things off by talking about the High Limits Sprint Car Series. They have wrapped up their season down in Texas, and they had their banquet over the weekend, and we'll start off with a heartfelt goodbye from Australia's own J-Mac, James McFadden, who has announced that he will not be returning to the USA full-time for sprint car racing in 2025. J-Mac had a great year up here in the States. He had a couple rough nights there where he had tangled with your six-time now champion in a national sprint car tour. That is Brad Sweet. He is a six-time champion now, 5 in a row with the World Outlaws, and now his 6th with the High Limit Sprint Car Series. That brings home the 7th championship for Casey Kane Racing. So kudos to Brad Sweet and that team on 6 times in a row now being a national sprint car champion. And the World Outlaw sprint cars were in action over the weekend. The Keystone Showdown in Lincoln Speedway in Abbottstown, Pennsylvania. Donnie Schatz was your winner in the number 15. Carson Macedo brings home 2nd. And Buddy Kofoid comes home in 3rd place. As the season ends near and everything starts leading to Charlotte for the World Outlaws finals, David Gravel holds on to a 72-point lead over Carson Macedo, and Donnie Schatz, who started out the year back in 9th in points, has found himself in 3rd in points as we get towards the end of the season there. Last week, we also had 2 nights of racing at the Southern Iowa Speedway, where both nights had over 80 cars in action. Friday night, Brandon Pickney was able to pick up a Sport Compact victory. Ben Woods wins your non-wing sprint cars. Dustin Griffiths comes home the hobby stock champ that night. And Tim Plummer, who hasn't ran here since 2020, picks up a sport mod race filled with some of the best drivers from the Midwest in that class. And Caden Carter wins the class Too Tough to Tame, the stock cars, on Friday night. Night 2 was another great night. We had 80 cars at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Barry Taft came home the winner in the Sport Compacts. Dustin Griffiths goes 2 for 2 and wins another hobby stock feature. And Tim Plummer goes back-to-back nights in the 66 car in the Sport Mod division. And Derek Agee in his new Vanderbilt car able to pick up a win with the stock car class at the Southern Iowa Speedway. That'll wrap it up for tonight for our little segment there of talking about results and what's going on in the dirt track racing world. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the guys that run these beautiful RC cars up here in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
All right, let's hear from our host venue, Bridget's Public House. Bridget's Public House is an Irish pub located at 208 First Avenue East, Oskaloosa. Bridget's Public House hopes you find it a warm, welcoming space that also serves delicious, unique Irish-based options created in their kitchen. And don't forget a cold beverage of choice. Located just off the square next to True Value. Come in and check out the unique decor at Bridget's Public House while enjoying a beverage or food. Follow Bridget's Public House on Facebook and stop in person at 208 First Avenue East, Oskaloosa. That's Bridget's Public House. Locally owned and operated. Hey, we are at Bridget's Public House for the TNT Tuesday Night Tune-Up live here on Steve Shuttler Media. We're doing this through the end of October. Now, we have all of our chairs filled on screen. We've got Safe smack dab in the middle. We got some of the RC cars on display, and we've got Jimmy, Gordy, and Justin with us with the RC cars. Safe, take it away.
Welcome back, race fans. It is that time of the night for our interview portion. First off, we want to thank you guys for coming here and talking and enlightening us in the world of RC car racing.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so guys, the first thing I want to talk about is it is about the same. An RC car is just a regular dirt car. I think that's kind of a misconception that some people have. But why don't you guys tell us a little bit about the work that goes behind these things? Because, you guys do it like a regular dirt track car, setups and shocks and different packages and everything. Why don't you just give us a little insight into what a night looks like at a racetrack for you?
Go ahead, Gordy.
Sure. Yeah. So, these cars, they're fully adjustable. The shocks, we can change oil, pistons, just like a regular big car can. Out here, we got what we call roll center links that we can change how the car rolls and pivots, into the track. You can change offsets of the chassis for high bite or lower bite conditions. We can move the wings just like big cars and everything else. And probably the number one thing is, like everybody else, is just tires. I mean, tires are 90% of racing in any car, and it's just equally so here in RC cars.
So one thing, I don't know a whole lot about RC cars, but, one thing that can happen in the dirt track world is tire prep. Is that something that's legal, or is that something you guys do to these tires to soften them up? Or
Yeah, it's interesting you ask that, because some of those dirt track guys, the big car guys, use Simple Green and stuff like that on their tires. We do the same thing, but it's open usually for outdoor racing. We can pretty much do whatever we want to the tire, as long as you don't alter the tire itself, but you can prep them and do all kinds of stuff to them. The smaller ones over here, they race on carpet, so you can't really put anything on the tires because it'll just stain the carpet and leave the rubber down on the carpet. You don't really want to do that, but yeah.
So, as everyone can see here and what we have in front of us, it looks like there's a variety of different cars. We have a large non-wing, a smaller winged, and then a large winged, a smaller winged, a non-wing micro, and then a NASCAR, essentially. So what are a lot of the different classes, or maybe some of the more popular classes around here that guys like to run?
So here in Oskaloosa, PCRC, which Justin and Gordy run, are these smaller ones up front.
Okay.
So they race inside Penn Central Mall, Center Court, throughout the winter. They have about 2 or 3 races a month. And we just had a race this past weekend there. And they have a great turnout with, 40, 50, sometimes 60 entries. So guys come from all over Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, and there's a lot of people from around Oskaloosa that are getting into it. They're about $200 out of the box. You put it down on the track and you can race it. So it's relatively cheap. It's like a Christmas present for some people, So,
Right, yeah.
It's very popular. Nationwide, 1RC is very popular. And then you step up, those are 18th scale, and then you step up to this one, which is 10th scale. And these are raced mainly outdoors. There are a few indoor tracks, but Lighton Speedway is over there in Lighton behind the ball field over there. So Rob Rennis wasn't able to make it tonight, but he's a promoter over there and has a nice track over there it's one of the nicest ones in the United States, actually. There's a lot of guys come from all over.
So yeah, that's one thing, is the following. Is there a lot, and that's cool. You guys are able to get that many cars to come to your events and stuff. So what's that like on a typical weekend when you get there and get set up, and then maybe talk us through the rest of the day, because I'm sure there's heat races and other things like that. Why don't you tell us what that looks like for you, Gordy?
Yeah, so our normal, race day will be, as you go in there, we are able to practice a little bit, kind of, different track conditions depending on weather, wind, rain the night before, whatever. We go there and do that. Outside, they do what we call a seeding round. So you get 1 minute on the clock and you go out and try to set your fastest lap. Then after that aligns you up for your first heat race. So then we race off of what we call race points. So getting first is 1 point, second is 2 point, or and so on and so forth. And then how you finish from the first heat race will invert for the second heat race, and you race for the points, and then it's like golf, the lowest score wins. So then there's, C, B, A features, usually with a couple bumps. We take 8 to the main. And then, you're tuning on them all night long just to try to get, faster all night long and outrun your competition. So pretty, straightforward. With the little cars, just due to time, we don't run a qualifying round. We just let the computer randomly sort the field, and we run 2 heat races there based off of points, and then mains also. So
Okay. So we said these smaller cars up front here are about $200 roughly to get into.
Yep.
If someone wanted to get a bigger car, I'm sure that those can kind of go
Yeah, so there's
anywhere.
Yeah, there's stepping stones in our classes. So I guess we haven't really mentioned the classes. For the big cars, the 10th scale at Lighton, you have like novice class, which little kids. So usually a 5-year-old is borderline on if they can do it. Kids nowadays are really advanced with video games and everything, so they take to it really quick. So my son started out when he was 8, my oldest, and my youngest started when he was 5. So you start out in the novice, and you can run like a Traxxas Slash type vehicle, and those are about $250. And those work great because parts are cheap. Everybody has one, and you can just beat them up and they keep going. And then you work your way up to like a street stock class. That's super popular, and that's like a team associated. So you're getting into like a $500 range. You get up to next classes would be like late model sprint cars. Then you're talking about $1,000 in that range to be competitive.
Right.
And money's, it's as much money as you throw at it, faster you go.
Right.
So yeah, so in the bigger cars, you have a lot of options, it seems. So are there like different chassis
Yeah,
manufacturers?
yeah,
Are there a
there-
few that really kind of are
For
more popular than
the
others?
sprint cars, there's 2 main manufacturers, Custom Works, which I told you earlier is owned by Tony Stewart.
Yes.
And then there's GFRP, Dustin Malakote out of Indiana. He owns that or operates it. So those are your 2 main competitors in the sprint cars. And then, like I said, Team Associated, Losi, is for street stock type vehicles.
So I've seen things on the internet lately that Traxxas has a new
Yes.
RC car. It's like a modified.
Yep.
Probably
Yeah, they call it the
Mud
Mud Boss.
Mud Boss. Okay.
They changed the name to Modified.
Oh, did they
Yeah,
change it?
They
yeah,
did.
changed
Okay.
the name,
So
yep.
what's that all about? Is that just a kind of a new entry level
Yeah.
class that's probably
Yeah.
going to start up, or do you guys just run those with the slashes? Or?
Yeah, sort of. I've heard good things about them. I've heard, they're a good car. So I think that would be more of a spec class. Like you would want that as out of the box, race that particular car. No modifications, maybe change your radio or whatever to whatever you run. But I think that would be a good class for an entry level person.
That's one thing. So yeah, so radio. So I've heard there's like, and I have some friends in RC, and they tell me like, oh yeah, this is a good radio or that's a good radio. What are the different? So there's different manufacturers of the chassis and stuff. How many different radio manufacturers are there really?
Yeah.
Or is that
There's a
kind
ton.
of
There's a ton.
there is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For what we do, I think Gordy, you run Sandwall. You probably
I
run
run Sandwall.
So they run Sandwall. I run Futaba just because that's what I started out as when I was a kid, and it's popular. But I think this winter we're gonna switch to Fly Sky. Has a very good radio for a good price. So
So how important is the radio aspect when
very.
you're
Oh,
yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. A certain radio can make you more smoother and quicker than the guy you're racing on a stock radio.
Yeah.
okay? So it just helps with your the handling of the car.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
latency is what they call it. So the connection between you and the car gets
Yep.
way better with obviously a more expensive radio. Some are better for dirt track racing or what we do, circle track racing. Some are better for like off-road where you do the jumps and everything.
Okay.
But the Sandwall is like there's a lot of people that use those.
And what about batteries? I mean, I know there's a bunch of different battery manufacturers. Is there like a kind of a preference maybe, or what do you guys look for in a battery? Because I know that's a big thing in these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as far as battery, I mean, you're mainly just kind of looking at, resistance is what we call it. IR is the term that's used out there. I mean, the difference between, a good battery and a bad battery, is usually like how long it keeps its peak charge and, you know, keeps the car running at full speed. So there's a balance. I mean, you talk to 10 different guys, we have all 10 different batteries. It's just kind of whatever, you know, you prefer. You know, I mean, it's most of the time if you're buying a $100 battery, you're buying a good battery. You know, and it's just probably most of them come from the same place. You know,
Just a
in
different
reality,
sticker on 'em.
just a different sticker onto it. But you know, anything in racing, right? It's about building relationships and trust, and you kind of find who you can trust and who you can't, and with that, you just purchase those components.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in supporting companies that support us. So like I run ProTech, a lot of ProTech stuff. And that's A-Main Hobbies, and they're huge. They're out of California, but they're giving back to the tracks around here. They just give back to the racers themselves in a big way. So I don't mind buying products from them because they give back to us.
So one other thing is, you know, in big cars, you go to different tracks, change your gear ratios and stuff. Is that something you can do in these cars, and you do you change those sometimes throughout the night with track conditions? Or
Absolutely, yeah. And it's super quick and easy. It's a lot quicker than a big car, I know that.
Yeah,
You
probably
can-
a lot, not as heavy either.
Right, yeah. So like changing a pinion gear, it'd take you 60 seconds at the very most, and that's, you know, taking your time doing it. But it's very quick and easy to do, and yeah, a lot of racers do that. Once you get a gear ratio that you like, I usually stick to it. Maybe change it by 1 or 2 teeth, but yeah, it changes the car a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
How it comes off a corner and how all that good stuff. But
so speaking of coming off the car coming off the corner and everything, you know, I know a lot of guys in the dirt track world that run RC cars like in the winter or even kind of in the summer as a side thing. Is that what you guys? I mean, do you guys know a lot of dirt track racers that are in the RC world?
there's a few. Gordy probably knows more than I do, but
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. You know, especially like at an indoor track over in Muscatine, there's a few more racers over there from, you know, eastern Iowa. You know, there's some of us that are old retired dirt racers like me that just kind of found a niche to go back out into the RC world, and hey, it kind of satisfies our curiosity. And you know, when you wreck one of these, you can laugh about it. So where when you wreck a dirt modified when you're 40, you limp around for a few days. So
Hurts a little more.
So it hurts the pocketbook a little bit more, and you know, so yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's good. And you know, when we look at it from the other side too, I mean, you know, the good thing about RC racing is I mean, I've always said anybody from 6 to 70 can do it, and you know, and this is how you get your start into racing, right? I mean, you know, I mean, that's how we got our start kind of racing, was up here at Penn Central Mall racing pan cars on a Saturday morning. You know, so it got us enthused into racing, and then you hope to see those guys, you know, advance into cars. You know, I know like Carter Vandenberg, you know, used to race out at the track that we had and progress through age, and you know, he races big cars. So it's kind of good to see that, you know, and to help try to grow the sport of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one thing I think, you know, people say, "Oh, RC racing, that's kind of childish, don't you think?" But knowing that there's a lot of different ages that race, you know, I'm sure you guys have a great racing community in and of itself, correct?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So-
Made a lot of friends doing
Yeah.
this, you know, met a lot of different people.
yeah.
And we have guys, it sounds like, that travel from all over Iowa to come down here and race, whether it's
Yeah.
at the mall or at
Yep.
Lighton.
Yeah.
It sounds like is very good.
Yeah, back in June, Lighton Speedway held one of the biggest races in the nation. They had 210 entries. So they had guys from 5 different states, some of the best drivers that you will see. So
That's like the population of Lighton.
yeah,
Yeah,
doubled
I
overnight.
kid you not, like really?
For real, yeah.
Wow.
Doubled overnight, yeah. So the mecca of RC racing is the RC Chili Bowl. So it goes on during the regular Chili Bowl, the midgets. So they that's where everybody goes in January. All the good drivers or the guys that want to try to see how good they are, compete with the best. Because if you want to see where you stack up against the best of the nation, and that's where they all go. So that's like the Daytona 500 in RC.
So what does a pay structure kind of look like as far as winning in classes, or is that a thing, or?
Very seldom.
Very seldom.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. We usually race for stickers.
Yeah.
You get a little
Okay.
sticker. Yeah.
Okay.
Trophy races are like a plastic plaque that says the special race that we have, which is nice. You can hang up on the wall or whatever.
And I think that's the good part of it. I think if it went to money, it would get too serious.
Yeah.
Money
You
in
know,
RC cars. Racing for money is really not a good thing with an RC car.
No.
Okay.
And I mean, I've seen it. You know, they tried it a couple times, and I mean, not that it's not serious, but yeah, it just gets a little bit more serious with with money on the line, and I think it just kind of helps keep the cost down too. And that's in today's age when you can go racing relatively cheap. I mean, go into a money race to where you have to pay extra an entry to try to generate the money to do it, because I mean, we know as promoters really know much. There's not much money into it at all by the time you kind of put all your work and effort and buy this and buy that, and I mean, it's more of for love of the game.
So that's kind of nice, because really all you need to do at that point is buy a car and the stuff you need, and then you can go racing. I assume there's not like entry fees or anything.
Yeah, there's an entry fee.
Yeah,
Yep.
it all depends on the track, what they charge to race.
They're probably still relatively cheap, I assume, like
Yeah.
$5-10.
A club race at Lighton's 15, and Gordy and Justin have theirs set up to where a whole entire family can race for $20.
Oh wow, yeah,
Unlimited
that's
entries.
cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
and these cars here cross over too. So, like a late model, you can run that in 3 different classes. There's a super late model, a crate, and then an open. So, if you showed up with 2 kids, you could all 3 race.
Yep.
Well, that's
The
pretty
dad
awesome.
and 2 kids. So,
Huh.
yeah.
Well, and then I guess the nice thing is too is the workability in between races. I assume if you wanted to change,
Yep.
do you change motors to run different classes, or do you just usually hit
No,
them
they're
all?
the same motor.
Same motor?
Yep.
Just different battery, or
Yep, battery.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's how you classify them, as the size of battery, or
Yeah, we either a nickel metal hydride or a lipo.
okay. So that's the difference there. So that's kind of like the engine per se. Is
Yeah.
really your
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So what would you consider a bad weekend racing? A lot of guys are, I barreled the car and it's junk and I got to take it to the frame shop. I mean, is there really anything that you would say is a bad weekend in RC car? I'm just curious,
No, I've never had a bad weekend.
No, I mean, I take it a little bit more serious than everybody else. I mean, if I don't win, then I'm scratching my head all week. Justin ran that car Saturday, and I was already on the phone with him on Monday saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, I think if we tried this and this and this, we could get it
that's
to rotate a little bit
Yeah.
better." So, so yeah, I mean,
but it's not like I blew the motor up and now I got
Right.
to try to call a shop.
Right,
and get it
right,
done. Okay.
right.
Yeah, so and cost I'm sure is it's quite a bit different on one
Oh,
of these.
absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys run for, like the motor in these per se? Because there is a motor technically.
Yeah. So like in these 1RC cars, I mean, it's kind of hard to see here, but I mean, the little motor's right in there. So, I mean, these cars come with, I mean, their own motor, transmission, everything. So these, they're all pretty much the same. And there, there's, I mean, the stock car classes or street stock classes will run what we call like a 21.5 turn. So the higher the turn, the motor, the less RPM that it has. So it kind of slows down the speed. And then like their sprint cars will run what we call a 13.5 turn motor. So they're a little bit faster. And then we have open sprint to where you can run down to, I've heard people running 3-turn motors, which would be way too much. And so, so each has their own. I mean, there's there's benefits to running open motors and there's benefits to running spec motors. So it just kind of whatever, your flavor is and who you want to race
So does
with.
anyone run nitro cars anymore, or is that kind of a thing of the past?
Yeah, it's kind of a thing of the past. It's
Yeah.
kind
A
of,
lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And with the with the technology, like when I kind of got back into RC racing, the brushless and the lipo technology kind of just started making its way in there, and there was some nitro cars running, and it just the efficiency of the brushless with lipo just started to blow it away.
Yeah.
I remember I had a RC car once, and it was a Red Cat, and it was a 5th scale, and it had a chainsaw
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
motor in it. I don't know what that thing was. That thing was stupid. So I can see why probably a battery is a better option than that.
They do
So-
sound good, though,
Yeah.
when you're on.
Yeah, but it's like, the size of this table,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
got that big chainsaw motor. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? I'm like,
Yeah.
surely they don't put these in like smaller ones. I mean, that would be absolutely nuts, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So battery is now the future really of RC car racing. There's not really any nitro stuff left. Has anyone ever tried to bring really a nitro car to? Did
So-
you ever see them? Or
So way back when, Ed Bogart, he lives right there by the track in Lighton. He actually started the racetrack over there, and he said that's what they started out racing. So if you go on YouTube and look at or type in Lighton Speedway, there's actually footage of old nitro cars racing out there
that's crazy.
from like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Those things are loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so you guys race the smaller ones in the mall, and
Yep.
if someone is interested, they want to come check it out or whatever, where can they find more information? Maybe your guys' schedule and whatnot.
we have a Facebook page, PCRC Speedway. On Facebook, it shows all of our rules, our schedule, and the upcoming races we're going to have. And
When's the next race?
November 9th.
Yeah,
November
November
9th.
9th.
Okay.
So what I would recommend somebody doing, if you're interested, coming up November 9th,
Right.
talk to Gordy, Justin, or me, or anybody actually up there, and start asking questions. And like I said, $200, you could race that day. You need a transponder, which is $20-25 or whatever. But other than that, it's out of the box. And Bobby's Hobbies is another good one. He's out of Pleasantville.
Yep.
And he has a racetrack over there, so he races throughout the winter. So if you look him up, Bobby's Hobbies on Facebook, and he has parts, and he's a dealer for a lot of manufacturers. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just this last weekend, we had a young kid purchase a kit, put a transponder in there, and went out and ran it, and did
Ran
really
third.
well.
Awesome.
He
Ran
ran
third.
third. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, right out of the box. So
yeah, it was clear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of questions from a non-racing guy over here.
Yeah.
I think Gordy, you said that you were a former racer, or are all three of you from the racing world, or is this your racing?
I helped Gordy when he was racing back in the
Okay.
dirt modifieds.
All right.
Yeah, so I ran, I raced go-karts out at Reyes Speedway from when I was 11 till through 15, and then we made the switch over to an IMCA modified when I was 16, which would have been about 1990. Raced IMCA modifieds till I think it was the year 2000, and then I went dirt late model racing for about 7 years, and then had a kid and kind of pocketbook went a little bit thinner, and it was
Shrinks a little bit when that happens.
You know, and I had a great time racing. It was just more, I kind of got out before all the technology come in. So, when it kind of started getting into these different shock and aero packages that the late models have today, being out from just a little 2-car garage didn't really cut it anymore. So,
My other question for you guys is, and maybe if you talked about this, forgive me and just tell me to be quiet. Is there, do you guys have local standings, or like a season standings, or is there anything like national standings, or I'll let you talk about that.
So at Lighton, we did that last year. We did a points series, and we didn't do that this year. And next year it's not slated to happen, but Lighton is going to host. There's a series called the Elite Dirt Oval Series, which is pretty. It's like a prestigious series that travels around to different states. There's a race in Oklahoma. There's a couple in Illinois and a couple in Indiana, and then Lighton is going to host another one. So that's July 17th, or excuse me, July 12th. So there'll be drivers from all over coming for that. So that'll be interesting to see.
So I know another thing big in the RC world is like swap meets and stuff. I know they host one in the mall, and I think there's one that normally happens in Des Moines,
Iowa City.
Okay. So, is that a good place for someone to go and get a car that's wanting to start out?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So I actually run the swap meet here in Oskaloosa. So that's February 1st, 2025. It'll be our third year in a row having it, and we estimate 300 to 400 people through the mall that day. The mall manager did geofencing stuff, and he told me how many people come through, and it was crazy amount of people that came through, and they come from all over too. A lot of Des Moines people, a lot of Iowa City area, Quad Cities. So there's a lot of products there. It's mostly used stuff. The Iowa Outlaws, RC Outlaws, out of Des Moines area, they come down for it, and they bring a ton of stuff, and they bring mostly crawler, basher type stuff. So if you're interested in the crawler stuff, which is really popular nowadays, they have a lot of stuff there.
Okay. Yeah. So, and then if they want to find out about Lighton Speedway and the races going on there, where is the best place for them to get that kind of information?
Yeah, so Lighton Speedway has their Facebook page, and they're on it, quite a bit, especially during race season.
They're watching right now, in fact.
Yeah, awesome. They have their schedule coming out soon. The big events next year is the Elite Dirt Oval Series in July. Then Wild Bill Classic is in June. And then the Lighton Nationals every year is kind of leading up to the Knoxville Nationals. So that's like August 2nd is the Lighton Nationals. So that's usually a big event. Brings in a lot of guys and gals.
Sure. So
I've got one more question I'm going to throw in here.
Fine, Steve, go ahead. You take over.
I'm taking over as host. I'm the man behind the camera. From like an advertiser or a sponsor perspective, do you guys have, like at the Lighton Speedway? I've never been there. Do you guys can people put up or businesses put up like sponsorship, like banners and stuff like that?
Absolutely. They have a big, huge wall,
okay,
kind of like at a normal racetrack, that has banners up there. If you go to their Facebook page, you can see photos on there. Okay. But if anybody's interested in sponsoring the Speedway, just reach out to the Speedway on their Facebook page, and they have packages, the size of the banner. They'll tell you, the price on those. And yeah, it's good advertising. It's always free admission, so if anybody ever wants to go watch at both tracks, you can just walk up and start watching a race. You don't have to pay to get in. Okay. There's a concession stand or a cafe at Lighton Speedway. Great food, walking tacos. $5 and you get a huge thing full of walking taco goodness. Cheeseburgers, yeah, they got it all.
Oh, that's awesome. So, final things here. What is one thing you guys would tell someone where they're like, RC car racing, I'm thinking about it, I kind of want to get started. What's one piece of advice you give to someone that's really interested and wants to get into it?
Reach out to a local racer, or a promoter, one of these guys, if you want to do the 1RC or even the big cars. But yeah, if you want to get into it, just show up. We have cars that we can loan out too. If somebody wants to try it out, is just on the fence, I kind of want to do it, don't know if I want to do it, show up, we'll get you a car, you can race that night. You pay the entry fee, usually about $15, and then you can race that night.
Oh, Steve, we ought to do that and have a grudge match between you and I.
I think it'd be awesome.
Oh, there we go. It's going to happen. You're coming down to us, and we're doing it in the mall. Showdown in the mall.
The RC cage match.
Shetler versus Grafty. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Safe and Steve, yeah.
November 9th.
Yeah.
November 9th.
November 9th.
There we go. It's the showdown of the century.
RC Mania.
I got a car for you, Steve. I got a fast one.
Oh, great.
I'll
And no
stick a
one asked Save.
Steve Shuttler Media sticker on the one.
Oh,
We'll do it.
my. There you go, Steve. All right, it's going to happen. It's got to happen now. I'm calling you out. You're slow. There we go. It's been made right there, folks. You've heard it here first. So, well, guys, we want to thank you, Justin and Jimmy and Gory, for coming on and talking and getting us into the RC car world here.
Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
thanks for
You
having
know, I
us.
got to put in one plug. I got to say a big thanks to Mike Gipple at the mall. He's
Yes.
done so much over the last couple of years in Penn Central Mall. The help there, the team there. I mean, without them, what we do in the winter wouldn't be possible. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to them. You know, they opened their doors to allowing us to come back in an RC racer after many, many years. So want to send a big shout out to that team.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, guys, we want to thank you again. We want to thank all of our viewers for watching tonight on TNT, the Tuesday Night Tune-Up. My name is Safe Crafty, and I'm your host, and we will see you next week here at Bridget's Public House. Don't go anywhere.